Hello and welcome to the Horror Boys. This is Horror Boys 10. We've taken a bit of a break off because Tanner went on a trip to Colorado and didn't visit me. So Tanner, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about what you were doing that was so important.
So I was out in the wilderness, and Steven can be passive-aggressive all he wants, but I had literally no service out there except for like a few hours in Estes Park at a time. So yeah.
He knows where I live.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that close. I'd have to cross like a mountain. I think that's an R&B song.
Rocky Mountain.
No.
Yeah,
but
it is.
There's
actually.
another one that's
Ain't
like,
a mountain high enough.
No, not that. Oh yeah, maybe that one. I don't know. Something about moving a mountain.
Oh no, that's not it.
Well, I'll write it for you. Yeah, but it's good to be back. It's been too long because you can't watch movies when you're out in the wilderness, it turns out. I didn't know this at the time. I would have said no.
I actually, if you go to Wyoming, Devil's Tower, you stay at the KOA there, out in the wilderness, they will show Close Encounters of the Third Kind right at the base. So you can watch movies out in the wilderness.
Really? At the KOA?
Yeah.
In Wyoming?
Yeah, I've done it. It's great. Yeah.
That's kind of amazing. That's really nice.
Yeah, it really is. It's lovely. I think they do it every Friday.
Huh. We should have driven up there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. But yeah. So we watched 3 movies this week, as we normally do. But Steven, I think you had a story for us before we begin.
Oh boy, do I ever. So yesterday, I was on my lunch from my job I spent entirely too much time at. And Emily and I were we drove a little ways away from our workplace, and we were looking at the Prairie Dogs playing. And we turned around and we were driving back, and I see this thing sprinting down the side of a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what is that? Is that a dog? And it's going towards the brush right next to the road. And so I pull over and I'm looking. I'm like, oh, that's a badger. And it's hopping. And it's hopping all around this brush.
Uh-huh.
And it's going after one of my prairie dogs, one of my boys.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, this will not do. So I get out of the car and I sprint into the brush. And I chase down that badger. And it turns around and looks me in the eye. And I'm staring at it. And the thought goes into my mind, are badgers dangerous? Because they're huge. I don't know.
I think the answer is yes.
I started yelling at it, and I went, leave my boys alone! And it worked. It got terrified. It sprinted back up the mountain. So I saved that. I saved my boy's life. But yeah, little did I know, apparently badgers will, like, jump at you and eat your face.
Yeah,
so.
Well, I mean, badgers are, like, generally considered, like, pretty dangerous. I can't believe you did that. That's also the most mountain man thing I've ever heard. Even though you were just on your lunch break.
I'm wilding out, Tanner.
Yeah, that's impressive. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, so, I don't think I'll do it again, but.
We went into a campsite at one point where black bears were really active, supposedly, and the people around us said that it wasn't no joke, and which was it was like our last campsite also, and I don't know why we picked the last campsite to be the most active, but I think I yelled at a black bear on the tent in my sleep. But
oh no,
I can't remember. I woke everyone else up. I thought I heard like feet on the gravel. So even if it wasn't a black bear, it was clearly like some kind of creepy person. So I saved us all. You can thank me for that.
Was it like that scene in Willow Creek, the 20-minute one shot where they're in the tent and they're terrified and crying?
Kind of, except not really. I don't know. It could have been like, when you jolt up out of sleep and you're like, oh. I think it was that, but because I was in the outdoors, I thought there was a bear. Does that make sense?
There could have been a deer outside or something. There are a lot of those.
There were also a lot of
deer. Could have been a bunny.
Deer. I don't know why this one campsite was just full of like random wildlife. I think it's probably because people leave a lot of garbage. But
Why would you stay at a campsite that's known to have a lot of black bears?
I didn't pick the campsite.
Was it a fun trip though?
Yeah. My first time backpacking. Those campsites were better because we'd be like one of like. At one, we were like one of 2 camps out on this like lake, pretty high up. Probably not as high up as you are, though. How high is Granby?
Dude, I don't know.
Come on, man. Coloradoans put the elevations on their signs. Like, come on.
I think 14,000 feet above sea level. How's that?
So it's at 14. So, like, wow.
That's my guess. I don't know.
I don't know. That sounds pretty high. It's about 8,000. 14,000's like Long's Peak. That's not true.
I was close.
We were climbing, I think we were climbing to that, but it was from like 6,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah. Backpacking was harder
Sounds.
than I expected because, I mean, I didn't expect to be 40 pounds heavier, but that's what goes down.
All right. You eat a lot of tuna?
What did we eat mostly? We ate a lot of hot dogs.
I like those.
A lot of hot
I like
dogs.
those little bumblebee kits. You know what I'm talking about? Like the little chicken salad bumblebee cracker kits.
Yeah.
I like those on hikes.
That's classic lunch break also, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
we had a lot of Cliff Bars.
Nice.
Oh, it's pretty good. Pretty good eating. Just kidding. I never want a hot dog again, actually, after that.
I'm more of a brat boy myself.
Well, we had to boil them at some point because we were in an area where there weren't any campfires allowed. We didn't know
I would
that.
eat a hot dog raw over.
Boiled?
How'd you boil it with that? Did you have an electric stove or something?
We had a propane stove thing.
And any accessories for it or just...
Well, it's literally just this thing you stick on top of a propane can, and the propane can's like the table sort of, or like the stove kind of thing.
Whoever you went hiking with sounds kind of intense.
I mean, he just had a lot of good gear because his family hikes a lot. But, you know, we should really stop killing time because we don't want to talk about... We know we won't be able... Well, it's not like we don't want to talk about them. We just know we won't fill up that much time with the Rift and the Dark. But do you want to talk about Cat People to start things going today?
Hell yes, I want to talk about Cat People. So Cat People is a remake of, I think it was a 40s film.
Mm-hmm.
It's directed by Paul Schrader. I just watched Mishima, Life in 4 Chapters by him, which is one of the finest pieces of filmmaking I've ever seen. Highly recommend it. And you know what? Cat People lived up to that. It is definitely an auteur's vision being put towards a movie about a lady who turns into a cat every time she has sex.
No. It's not every time she has sex. It's whenever they're sexually aroused, Steven.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't...
That's a good point.
It didn't make much of a difference. I was just trying to be a jerk. But
Well, you succeeded. I hope you feel terrible.
Yeah, this is a good movie. And we got our boy John Hurd as like our protagonist, which is pretty crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing him in a horror movie like this. He's in Chud though, isn't he?
Oh, he's the protagonist of Chud.
Yeah, I thought so.
Which
Classic.
we got to cover that at some point. But that's another
Yeah, we'll love that
that's
one.
another subject entirely, Chud.
Yeah.
We get
Natasha Kinski.
uh,
She's in it.
yeah.
She's the lead.
Malcolm McDowell's
She's
her
great.
creepy brother.
Rapey brother.
Oh, rapey, yes. Well,
yes.
it makes sense later on, but at the start,
Well-
well, it kind of does. I mean, So cat people can only have sex with their own kind, and
Which they're all siblings, so
yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, what is it? He
Yeah, but I mean,
does he talk about Adam and Eve at some point? Or
oh, I think he does. Yeah.
well, so yeah, pretty creepy. She's not into it, as of course Malcolm McDowell is into it. It just seems like something he'd be into, but Natasha Kinski is not, and rebels and wants to start a relationship with our boy John Hurd, who's a zoo curator, which is kind of a great thing.
So the movie opens with David Bowie's "Cat People," also known as "Putting Out the Fire." It's got a special rendition. It was written for this movie. The version on the album's different. It's a little poppier. And I think the version in "Inglourious Bastards" is different as well. And then the terrible Atomic Blonde used the album version, which is like, come on, it's already been used twice before really well. Why would you use it again? I don't know. The movie was lazy. It was bad.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was utilized as well, obviously, because it wasn't really utilized except for the intro and outro, basically, right?
No, it's got the slow like drums and like the no. I'd say for like the first 15 minutes that's kind of the main theme, and then the other synth score comes in and that's awesome. And they use that a lot, but I think it's like kind of like the Overlude. They use it quite a bit throughout it.
Well, I was just gonna say I think it may have been utilized better in Inglourious Bastards, at least that version. But I think I like listening to them by themselves. I think I'd prefer this version first and foremost. But I don't know. Don't yell at me. Please don't yell at me.
I was going to, but now I won't.
Okay.
Yeah, so Natasha Kinski is coming to America, I believe, for the first time. And she's staying with her brother, who I don't think she's ever met before. She was an orphan.
Mm-mm.
And he, Malcolm McDowell, is immediately like, he's like giving her weird shoulder massages and sniffing her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes off to try and sleep with a prostitute. And she goes upstairs to the little room they have together. And she sits down on a bed, and all of a sudden this black cat's paw comes out from under the bed and scrapes at her ankle.
Yeah.
And the gore in this delivered a lot more than I expected it to.
Well, we got to see Ed Begley Jr. lose an arm, which, I don't know. I never thought I'd see that. He's always just... Nowadays, he's just in comedic roles. And to have him get his whole arm ripped off and done so well with, like, bone protruding out of his torso... Just, it was a legendary personal moment for me.
Did you grow as a person when you saw it?
I think so. I think of Ed Begley Jr. as a more three-dimensional human being now. It's kind of beautiful. But
so this big cat is how John Hurd gets brought in, because he's the zookeeper who has to go catch it. He catches it, takes it to a zoo, but when it kills Ed Begley Jr., boom, he's Malcolm McDowell again. He escapes, and then the movie starts shifting a little bit there, if you know what I mean. I feel like once they got out to that cabin, it kind of transformed what it was.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned how it has sort of dual narratives, but gives them both almost equal time. And I feel like it does it just sort of masterfully. I don't know, like...
I almost don't want to spoil this, because I like the way the movie goes so much, especially the ending. I thought was really well done.
I kind of don't want to spoil it either. It's like, I don't know. We can spoil the dark at least, so no one's gonna.
We'll spoil the
that.
dark and the rift. But cat people, I just want to say watch this movie, so we won't go into too much of the intimacies of the plot here. I don't think,
or else we'll turn into cats.
Yes.
If we get into the intimacy.
Spoiling gives you the same rush as an orgasm, right, Tanner?
Not for cat people, just for bad movies.
No. Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Just stuff no one will watch. Because, there's joy in, like, giving people plot points to something they'll never see. And
Tanner, we've watched The Dark twice. So, I mean, who's to say nobody else will ever watch it?
Well, I mean, we did that for a reason, though. Like, it wasn't because we loved it. I mean, I kind of love it. I have a complicated relationship with The Dark. We'll come back to it, though.
The cinematography in Cat People, very New German cinema, as Tanner always corrects me, because I usually say German New Wave. That's been an ongoing arc throughout this podcast for those of you longtime listeners.
I correct you half-heartedly because I don't really care. So don't make me sound like a bad guy.
First you don't visit me, then you correct my film trivia. That's all I have, Tanner.
I didn't realize this podcast was just gonna turn into just total abuse against me.
I gotta turn the fans against you.
Like, we talked about how this movie is kind of lowly rated everywhere we looked. And
yeah, I thought this would be one on Letterboxd where like it generally had pretty good reviews, and it's not at all.
Yeah, I want to say like it's sort of like a misunderstood. It's like higher cinema than like what we normally watch on here. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like sort of a misunderstood late American auteur. I mean, you said that already.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he incorporates some of the surreal visuals in this, and I feel like it's pretty tight, even if it's a little long. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Oh, and you had mentioned at some point that like, Universal. Is that who this was?
It was RKO Productions.
Oh yeah.
RKO Pictures. All the rights to that had gotten bought up by a producer. And in 1982, he released 2 different movies based on old properties. One was Cat People, and the other one was The Thing. Both of which I consider to be fantastic films, and both of which flopped so badly at the box office, he never did another remake off of those, which I find pretty depressing.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I kind of want to go look through all of his RKO horror films now. I think maybe the Claude Rains Invisible Man is there somewhere. And we have Hollow Man.
Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to see that. Emily wanted to watch it the other night. Should we do that?
We'll do it for the podcast, I think.
Paul Verhoeven and Kevin Bacon. What more could you want for one film?
A better movie. No, but
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I hear it's bad, but who knows? Showgirls is kind of good.
Yeah, but is it kind of good, Steven?
Trust me, Tanner.
You almost had me like kind of go like, well, but then I was like, wait, what did you just say? This is like, I don't know. It's just sort of ridiculous and partially offensive, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty. I don't know if blasphemous is the right word, but it gets vile in all the right ways, I thought.
Hollow Man or Showgirls? What are we talking about now?
I meant Cat People.
Oh. I was talking about Hollow Man, but I suppose it could also apply to Showgirls, maybe. If you're... Anyway,
let's get back to Cat People. Enough of the Verhoeven rant. I noticed. So Natasha Kinski, after Roman Polanski raped a 13-year-old and fled to France, he got there and he started dating Natasha Kinski when she was 15.
yeah.
And in this movie, there's a sitcom playing on the TV, which I could have sworn had Ray Wise in it, but I didn't look back to find out. And they're talking, and he's talking with someone like really dramatically, and he goes, "I found Rosemary dead with my baby inside of her. Which, as you know, Roman Polanski's wife and unborn child were murdered in 1969 by Charles Manson's gang. So I don't know if that was like a really cruel dig at Polanski. But if so, that's something.
Well, you forgot to mention that her and Paul Schrader were involved at this point too. So
Yes,
it is possible.
at the time they were making the movie.
I think that makes it more possible that it was a dig. I don't know. I hope her and Paul Schrader's relationship was happier, but I didn't look into it, and I don't want to. I don't want to, Steven.
So this is totally out of left field. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about now. But speaking of relationships between a director and a star and IMDb trivia, I was at a hotel not too long ago, and some terrible movie by Peter Berg called Very Bad Things was on. It was awful. I hated it. I shut it off after a little bit. But one of the IMDb trivia things for it was during the after party, Cameron Diaz and Peter Berg were spotted making out.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this doing here?
Oh.
That's my little aside.
I mean, those after parties for like kind of bad movies are just crazy, dude.
Wild.
This looks horrible. Why did you watch this?
It was really bad. It was on Showtime at the hotel I was on. Anytime I'm at a hotel, I turn on Showtime. There's always some like obscure early 2000s, late 90s movie I've forgotten about, and I have to watch it. I remember when I was working in another city for a little bit, I kept switching to Showtime. One night Skulls was on, which apparently is a sequel I want to cover at some point because that's just so odd to me. Skulls, it's a movie about Paul Walker being part of an evil preppy society at a college called the Skulls. And that one dude who I only know from Cursed but is famous for like One Tree Hill or something was in it too. And his crippled black friend got killed.
Oh, no, that guy was in Fringe, yo.
Was he?
Talking about Joshua Jackson?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, this looks bad. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
Hey, Craig T. Nelson's in it.
But there's a sequel.
Uh-huh. Wait, there's a sequel to The Skulls?
There's the Skulls 2.
I can't. Why? And why would they call it 2? It's not like it sounds like a horror franchise. Oh my god, you're right. There's a third one, Steven. There's a third one. Oh my god.
Next episode, Skulls Trilogy.
All right, we'll watch the Skulls Trilogy. This is gonna be painful.
Hell yes.
Oh boy. Okay.
This is the best thing to come from this podcast.
Well, I like how this podcast is catching in real time how we react to finding just like terrible movies that like this is basically like catching in real time my excitement at you discovering Blood and Concrete and me going, oh my god.
Oh, no.
So like this will be just like that. They're gonna all be
Tanner
bad.
was supposed to be helping me rewrite a screenplay when I sent him the link to Blood and Concrete, and he couldn't think about anything else the rest of the night.
I was like, I gotta find where to buy this. I gotta find this. Okay, we'll watch the Skulls trilogy next episode. It'll be good. It'll be good.
Oh, and we're bringing Len Kabaczynski back. Swamp Zombies 2, baby.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. That's on the 28th. We talked to Len, so pretty soon. Pretty soon.
So I think, Cat People, it's great. I gave it 4 stars out of 5 and a heart.
Good transition.
Wholeheartedly recommend it. Tanner, what did you think of Cat People?
I liked it a lot. I also gave it 4 stars. You said something. Did you think the length was okay? Because
I think it was a little bloated, just a little bit.
Yeah. I think in like any other horror film, any other director, I think I would have said that. But honestly, I didn't like feel the time. I wasn't ever like conscious of the time that was passing, which is the worst thing to have happen in the middle of a movie. But
no, I noticed it was slow, but I don't know what I would cut out of it. So like yeah, I'm not complaining about it at all. I think it could go up on a rewatch, honestly, for sure. Oh, and we should add, it's written by the guy who wrote Children Don't Play with Dead Things and Death Dream, aka Dead of Night, which we covered a couple episodes ago.
We're just gonna say Death Dream. I don't want to remember that first film you mentioned.
Star of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Oh yeah, he was the main character that we both hated. Sigh.
Children.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty
So,
good
The
screenwriter
Rift.
though. Okay. Yeah, The Rift.
Yeah, we're done with that. So, Simon Barrett, one of Tanner and I's favorites. We love his movies. I love reading his screenplays.
You love
We
him.
love following him on social media. I love him. He very politely declined the podcast.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. He
Yeah.
seems like a really nice guy.
He does, for sure. He tweeted about this movie called The Rift, which I'd never heard of. I think it only had like 500 views on Letterboxd. But he said he said he's only seen The Abyss once, but he watches this stupid, gory movie twice a year.
Oh,
was
man.
I'm sold. We gotta find this.
Yeah, apparently this is like one of 6 1990 movies that take place underwater, The Abyss included.
And what's the other one? Leviathan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leviathan should be good. It has the right production values. It has a good cast, but it's terrible. The Rift is actually better than Leviathan. And it doesn't even have Peter Weller.
I mean, didn't Leviathan not have creatures though? Did Leviathan
No,
have
it had a
creatures?
monster. It had a monster.
Yeah.
It was kind of like this, where like there was some sort of parasite that was attacking people, but it was just making one monster, and the monster was cool, but there just wasn't enough of it, and
Yeah.
it wasn't scary. There was no tension. It had boring lighting, stuff like that. I don't know.
Gotcha. Well, we gotta watch Deep Star 6 though, because that's literally just the plot to this movie we just watched.
Okay, yeah, why don't we just watch this other movie that's like this movie we just watched?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta watch all the 1990s alien underwater movies. I mean, that's what this
the
one is.
episode after Len Kabaczynski. We're watching every 1990.
No. We're watching Skulls, Steven. But
Oh, right. Yeah.
The Rift.
So,
The Rift, I actually really enjoyed. I'm kind of putting it down because it's basically a remake of Alien Underwater, but all the creatures are cool. Like the colors are cool. Like what?
yeah, nice lighting.
What do I want to say? It's like super short and it cuts all the chaff out like immediately.
Yeah.
Like did you noticed how like quick the film was just like up and going, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like, okay, we woke the guy up, we moved him to the next scene. Like, it for the first, 15 minutes, I wasn't convinced we weren't watching a parody of a movie like it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you know how like, a good parody movie, like Blazing Saddles, will, like, just nail what it needs to be in just the right way, and so it feels like it's going by lightning fast? This is kind of like that.
Yeah.
But it's totally earnest. There's no intentional joke there.
Yeah, I mean, I kept saying it seemed like the cast and crew actually gave a shit about what they were making. But you mentioned, and I agree that R. Lee Ermey, our favorite guy from, any movie that needs like a yelling army man was.
The Texas Chainsaw remake. He's good in that, believe it or not.
Oh, is he? Yeah, he didn't.
He's like the one redeemable thing in that.
He didn't seem.
No, he was.
Unless they.
But I was like, he's gonna be the bad guy, right? Like he's the bad military dude that's showing up here. He's super strict. He's ruining everyone's day. But like through and through, he's just a good guy in this, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah. Well, like, what do I want to say about him? Do you think the director was
get
like
to go
restraining
unhinged.
him? Because that seems like a
Maybe.
horrible idea when you have him as like your second build actor.
You have him and Ray Wise in this movie, and neither of them get the chance to just lose it, and it's interesting.
Well, was Ray Wise famous for losing it at this point?
No, but still, he could have, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
1990, I mean, it would have been post at least season 1 of Twin Peaks, right?
Yeah. Oh.
And, I mean, he loses it in RoboCop. What is that, 1984?
He does,
1986,
he doesn't go that
but...
crazy in RoboCop, does he? Doesn't he just get his arms broken and thrown someplace?
In No. No, he's pretty crazy in RoboCop.
I love that movie.
It's perfect.
Let's watch Hollow Man. No, I'm just kidding. Why is everything a Verhoeven rabbit hole?
I love Verhoeven. Seriously, I could talk about him for hours.
Me too. I love RoboCop. I love Starship Troopers.
RoboCop, Starship Troopers, Total Recall, L.
Yeah. L. I haven't seen L yet.
Showgirls.
Hollow Man. No. So.
Flesh plus Blood.
We've pretty much said all that can be said about this movie. Like, I guess I want to.
No, we haven't. No,
well, I want to emphasize that the creatures and the effects are way beyond what we were expecting. I think, and with the film of this budget.
Well, they're on like as soon as the submarine they're on goes underwater, it is like the cutest little miniature, and I was like, oh no, is the whole movie gonna be like this? And then it gets attacked by this like weirdly good-looking amoeba thing that starts pulling on it, and then they end up going up to where this other submarine is, and like in like a cavern, they're trying to get some files off of it or something, and all of a sudden all of these monsters come out of nowhere, and they're like 4 or 5 different designs, and they all get their heads blown off, they all kill people in cool ways, like they get really creative with it in ways I never would have expected. And the way they use the sets and all of that, really, really neat. Like, they cut straight to it, and, like, all of the action is well done. I was just, like, as far as, like, micro-budget shit like this goes, it's top-notch.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. This is just prime, like, you wake up early on a Saturday morning, and you don't have anything to do, and you just flip on like Stars or something that would be playing this, because no one's gonna play this but like someone who owns the rights but doesn't know what to do with it, and you're just sitting there and you're like, wow, this is pretty good. I'm gonna talk to everyone about this movie because it should be bad, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best Alien remake I've ever seen.
What about Jason X?
Second best Alien remake I've ever seen. Jason X is never gonna be topped, I don't think. But yeah. This is
Ray Wise ends up being the bad guy, and
spoilers. No,
we don't know what his motivation was.
Yeah, like
I'm really not sure.
It's really like there's obvious, like the government or some companies doing weird things in like this underwater cavern with labs and stuff, and they're creating the hybrid creature things that are attacking people. But I mean, I don't know what Ray Wise's involvement was in that, other than like, oh, he was part of the company. You know what I mean?
He wanted the files for some reason. Yeah. That's what I know. And I knew he was going to be the bad guy because they kept just randomly cutting to close-ups of him,
Yeah.
which he didn't have any, like, noticeable reaction when any of the close-ups happened. So it was like, what's he up to?
Yeah.
But then Arlie Ernie kills him by shoving his face in the face of, there's like this, there's a parasite that, like, turns people into goop, basically. And he shoves Ray Wise's head into some of the goop. And once you get infected, you only have, like, a matter of time until you like, totally Ebola out and, like, dissolve, basically.
Yeah, that was a really good kill. I mean, all of that goop stuff just looked so good. You know, like,
Yeah.
like breathing moss. Like, I don't know how, like, obviously I don't know how to do things on the production end, but, like, that just blows my mind how good it looked for a B movie.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Planet Terror with the way they did, like, the bulging cysts in that. It was kind of like this, but it felt a lot more organic in a way. It was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. The lead actor, terrible.
Yeah,
Actor.
well, like, what else has he been in? Nothing.
What, James Scalia? What's his name?
James Scalia. Huh, he looks like
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan now. But he
Does he?
didn't used to.
He didn't back then.
No. That's weird. Maybe I'll turn into Pierce Brosnan when I am in a bad B movie and then age. That'd be nice.
I thought you wanted to be Justin Theroux.
Oh, I do. I'm never gonna be Justin Theroux, Stephen.
I believe in you, Tanner.
What did you wind up giving The Rift?
I gave it 3 stars because it was just so campy and fun. And I don't know what more I would have wanted from it other than more creatures. But for, like, I could tell it was so low budget and they were running on so little. Like, I'm amazed that we got as much as we did. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
gave it 3.2. That's 2 in a row we've had the same rating. We need more dissent.
okay, I'll just give the Dark a star lower than whatever you gave it.
What? No, you cannot. 2 is the perfect rating for The Dark.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I'm gonna give it 1.5.
No.
And
You
that's our
can't dissent
conversation
or
on the
I'll
Dark.
cry. Okay. So we won't have...
Yeah, it's getting one.
We got a lot to talk about with The Dark. It's an interesting movie.
Well, not so much the movie itself, but some of the stories around the movie.
Yeah. What time you want to move on to The Dark or?
Yeah, let's go for it. The Rift. I definitely recommend that if you're looking for like a fun B movie that's not really so bad it's good. Just I want some camp and I want it with extra cheese.
Yeah.
The Rift. Go for that.
I mean, yeah, it's like legit enjoyable, which is more than I expected from like the other kinds of movies we've seen with that budget from that era.
Yeah.
With that amount of like recognizability. Like I've never heard of this movie, you know.
Yeah, I mean it was kind of like Critters 4 if Critters 4 had cool stuff happening in it.
And was underwater.
And it was underwater, sure.
Critters 4. Why did you bring that up, Stephen?
Because like I got Critters 4 vibes early on. Because I was like, okay, this has 2 actors I like in it. But then this actually had stuff happening, unlike Critters 4, Because Critters 4 has Angela Bassett and Brad Dourif. There's no reason for it to be as boring and bad as it was,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I could definitely see that. Did you know The Dark was on Amazon Prime?
This whole time?
Yes.
Oh, well, the Blu-ray we got was gorgeous, so let's stick with that. So Tanner and I first saw The Dark, third billing, on a triple feature we saw at the New Beverly on 35mm, and I slept through quite a bit of it because it's horribly boring and really just a terrible movie. But the other 2 movies we saw, Tourist Trap, which we covered last episode, and Spawn of Slithis, which we have to cover soon because Red Letter Media has that poster of it, or they have like the DVD or whatever, and if they cover it before we do, we're going to keep looking like copycats, so we got to do that.
Yeah. I mean, but still, every time that's on like the wheel, we're always like, please land on Slithis.
Please land on Slithis, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, The Dark, I stayed awake through it. I don't know how. I don't know. It's like my body somehow knew the brilliant last 5 minutes we were gonna get, and
I was awake for the last 5 minutes. I just fell asleep in the middle when nothing happened.
yeah, like nothing happens.
Like watching it this time, I didn't see any scenes I thought were new, so I don't think I missed much.
yeah, well, I have a question for you later on about the plot, but we'll get into that later.
Oh no. Okay.
I'll read what I had written as a summary, because this was really hard to develop without like really thinking about what happens in the movie. So an alien crash lands on Earth in like a The Thing-esque fashion in the beginning, but it's pretty much just immediately starts killing people. We don't know why. It just looks like a dirty, large, homeless man.
It's the thing behind the wall in Mulholland Drive, except it has laser eyes.
Yeah, but that doesn't like another thing that made me wonder about this movie was the fact that it was wearing clothes. It was wearing clothes, Steven.
I don't know.
Where did he get those clothes?
I just don't know, Tanner. I don't know. Why would the alien hobo care?
What? But anyway, William Devane, the guy from the Gold commercials, is our main character in this.
Gold!
Which I think is just hilarious. He's got horrible hair in it. It's not the best actor back then. Kind of creepy.
Yeah, but he was like a little too old for the role.
Yeah, kept licking his lips, and I'm like, ugh. But anyway, his estranged daughter, I believe she was estranged, was killed by the creature. And he attempts to take matters into his own hands since he thinks the police are dumb. Fast forward like 40 minutes of unnecessary stuff, and he finds a psychic who foresaw a psychic. Where did that come from? Who foresaw the death of another man by the creature. So he wants to find this guy in order to stop the creature who he thinks is just some killer.
Did he find the guy? I don't know. Did he find the guy?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember. He was so close. He was so close because they were like, he's outside looking for his keys, the big jerk, and I think no. They were in a car chase. And that eventually just led straight to the creature. But I think the guy died. Believe it or not. Because who cares? And, well, like, but once that guy dies, the police know where the thing is. And just this glorious, glorious firefight ensues with, like, laser eyes and random explosions and just cops, like, flying off walls and...
I may or may not have watched that scene 3 times last night.
Like, it's amazing. It was way shorter than it seemed like it was in theaters.
Yeah.
In theaters...
I thought it was like 10 minutes long.
In theaters, it just felt like, wow, this is never going to end, and I don't even care. You know? It's just ridiculous. And then it ends, like, with like... what's it called? Like voiceover, and like doesn't explain anything.
Well, there's a reason for this, though.
Yeah. You could go into the backstory.
The Dark was initially, I believe, I'm not sure of that, pretty sure, and directed by Tobe Hooper, but he got fired after 3 days of shooting, something around there. Which happened to him quite a bit early on in his career. It would also happen on Venom. And it's hard to find a lot of information on this, I've found. I have this big book called Nightmare USA that it's mentioned in 5 times, and every single time it's mentioned, it's just to say it's a bad movie. It uses it as an aside to be like, unlike the terrible The Dark. And then this guy, I think his name was like Bud Corbett Jr. or something, came in, and he directed the rest.
No. It was John Bud Carlos.
I was close.
Who?
Towards the end of shooting, the studio went, okay, we're gonna retool this into being a Star Wars movie. Because it was originally about an evil autistic child who was locked inside of a house, and I believe he was using psychic powers to kill people.
Yes. And but so like,
What were you gonna say about the other director?
oh, you gotta mention that this guy was a TV director only. He was like an actor and writer up to the point that I think this movie came out, and he'd only had experience on like one TV production. Ergo, why this whole thing looks like a TV movie.
You know what? You say that, and I kept seeing that online. I don't agree with that. Sure, the camera movement's a little dry. Like it's not amazing looking, but like the consistency with the lens uses and the way they're used, just
Well,
it looks better than any TV movie today's gonna look.
that's because it's on film.
No,
like,
it's more than
nothing
that.
on
It's the
TV back
anamorphic
then
lenses
was like
and
on
the way they
film.
capture the light and the way they light every scene. It's all of that.
I mean,
it's the professionalism at play there.
the professionalism of John Bud Cardos, if that was his name. Yeah, I think I said Carlos earlier. It's actually Cardos.
And
Which
I said
I didn't
Bud
know was a
Corbett,
name.
You know, I
Bud
didn't either.
Corbett. That sounds like just some guy we know, but I don't know who that is.
I mean, they just got some guy to direct this.
Yeah, but I like maybe that's why it's wearing clothes, but I thought like I don't know. Like I just want to
It's
know
just
I just want to know like how badly this film got mangled.
how much did they reshoot? How much did they add in? Because like there are a million plot threads, so it makes sense that there are multiple movies at play here.
Yeah.
But there's never any scene where it feels like people are talking about a kid rather than a big alien monster.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't know.
do you think they added like I don't know why they chose to do that makeup if it wasn't like a psychokinetic autistic kid, which is kind of offensive nowadays. Like this movie would be deep within some vault if they had the autistic kid thing.
Is the alien maybe it was okay, here's my new theory. Maybe the monster was actually just supposed to be a magical autistic kid.
No, that's what I was proposing, but that doesn't seem
because that would
right.
explain why he's afraid of fire at the end, I guess. Because they make him like he's acting like Frankenstein for 20 seconds there, you know.
This is, I'm offended.
And that one scene with Casey Kasem is the only time you get any implication that it's about an alien outside of the intro and outro. So yeah, I think that's probably what it was.
Wow. Well, God, that would have been so offensive if they had like. I'm glad they changed the plot line, because like.
I mean, but that's still there.
Autistic person equals like literal Jason, except stupider. and with laser eyes. Oh boy, this movie's a mess. But I still Steven, I don't know what it is. I love this movie. This movie fascinates me. I want to say that.
The experience we had of watching it was pretty magical.
Yeah.
The first time.
This one was also magical. At least the last 5 minutes. Oh, and quick shout out to Casey Kasem for trying his hardest.
Always delivering. You know what's sad is that elder abuse, like, in my head is kind of funny. You know what I mean?
I have no idea what you mean. You're on your own there.
Because Casey Kasem, he was a victim of elder abuse, right? Like they locked him in his house and were collecting his checks.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like just the words elder abuse is funny to me because it's just like an old person, you know? Like what are you going to do to him?
I think.
But then like the actuality of it's terrible.
I think we're going to have to cut this.
No, it's staying in.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I wish elder abuse was funny, but it's not, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that whole thing was horrible. I remember following that. I mean, Scooby-Doo.
When did that happen?
Scooby-Doo's a huge part of my childhood. I don't know, he died like not that long ago. 2014. So it would have been like 2013.
But, so it was like right before he died?
Oh yeah, they drained him right until the end. It was really sad. He couldn't.
That's terrible.
He couldn't like do anything about it. Like, so this is why we take elder abuse seriously, Steven. No, I'm just.
Right, Shraggy.
Yeah, like, like his voice is just like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I wish I could have listened to the radio back when he was like a DJ or whatever. But anyway, Casey Kasem, excellent in this movie. William Devane.
For his one scene.
William Devane, not great. Like, acceptable at times. Kathy Lee Crosby. What? Oh, that was my question. What is she doing in this movie?
I don't know. She's this reporter that's only there to be William Devane's love interest. And then at the end, she's naked, but and then the movie ends.
Yeah. Wow.
Because they spend a lot of time focusing on like the media and like the police's relations with people in the city. Like there's the black kids that are like, what are you gonna do about this? How are you gonna protect us? And they're like, we'll protect you by shoving our pistol up your ass.
Yeah. I like come to think of it, that whole middle section just feels like a different movie.
It does.
It's like two like pretty good horror movie bookends onto like some weird TV pilot. Like, I think that maybe where some of the TV movie stuff comes from is literally that even the script and the plot development feels like TV. You know, like how it goes. Like, I don't know how to say this. It feels like an ensemble cast type, like, I don't know, like, what do I want to say? Hill Street Blues or something like that.
This is actually the pilot for the television adaptation of Crash, if you can believe that. This was the pilot. Before they added Dennis Hopper, yeah.
I believe you. Yeah. That sounds right.
Same quality of writing, honestly. Sometimes I think in LA, we're all just driving around side by side, alone, waiting to crash into each other, because that's the only type of intimacy we can actually get in this world.
That's
beautiful. The opening line to Crash. Yeah, thank you.
Wait, that's the opening line?
To Crash, yeah. You haven't seen it?
Why would I watch that?
It's terrible. Well, Emily watched it in some class in high school. She was like, Steven, I saw the worst movie. We got to see it. It was on Netflix. And then I was like, this won an Oscar? This won Best Picture?
It's really bad.
Oh, it's so bad. Yeah. I mean, like, it probably gets a little too much hate, but it's really trite and terrible. I don't like it.
Let's look at this stuff.
It won over Brokeback Mountain, and I think Good Luck Good Night was the other movie. And I know that's part of why people hate it so much. But it's also just really bad in its own right. I think George Clooney might have directed it. I don't know. I never saw it. It's in black and white. I think it has Robert Downey Jr. in it. Pretty sure I bought the DVD at a Goodwill, but I never watched it. Got a lot of those. I had one of Tokyo Gore Police I got that way. Finally watched it a couple months ago. No good.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I would have thought Brokeback Mountain would have won that year.
Well, the Academy wasn't ready for a gay person yet. A movie about a true gay love. That wasn't afraid to show, the intimacy of it and all that. So then, I don't know, 12 years later or whatever, they gave it to a movie that was about a gay man, except he really wasn't all that gay, and it wasn't very good. And it was called Moonlight. So
I got a hot take. I got a hot take, Steven. You ready?
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Brokeback Mountain is just The Fox and the Hound for adults.
Oh! Actually, I haven't seen Brokeback Mountain, but I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm not a big Ang Lee fan, so I never bothered with it.
I don't know. I don't know how
Is
to
it good?
follow that
Should I
up.
watch it? I
Uh,
like queer cinema when it's not victim pandering.
it's been a long time since I've seen it. Long time.
Let's watch it for the podcast.
Watch Brokeback Mountain. That seems so random. Everybody would think we were doing it to make fun of it, but like we're both genuinely curious if it's actually good.
Interested if it's a good movie. Maybe we'll watch it together, just not for the podcast. We can discuss it on the.
It's kind of sad. Like it's probably actually like a good movie, but everybody's just like, oh yeah, that gay cowboy movie, you know, like.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm all for a gay cowboy movie. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna make it a goal of mine. I'm gonna see Brokeback Mountain.
We gotta watch all of the skulls first, though. First and
Yeah,
foremost.
that's true.
Woo! Anyway, The Dark. Like I said, I have a real soft spot for it. It is like a steaming pile of garbage, but it's so nice.
I just wish the energy and the insanity of the last 5 minutes were in the entire movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said this earlier. That felt like something that Hooper would have directed. Like it felt like Life Force or something, just because it was like.
Does Life Force have
crazy.
laser effects that are that bad?
Not that bad. I'm talking more like I don't know. Like the rest of the movie doesn't feel like active or anything. It's just like
No.
it just like kind of just happens. But like as bad as the effects are, like at least it felt like action packed comparatively.
Well, it's because there's so much fire and explosions, and those are real, and they're really cool.
Yeah. Well, my favorite effect is when he finds like the pimp or whatever it is. Is he a pimp?
Yeah.
And
No, I think it was a janitor.
But he was talking to that working girl, wasn't he?
I don't know. Tanner, I don't know.
But it's like the one that's like a first person shot. and there's just like an explosion pasted onto the top of the frame.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's
like
pretty good.
It's a good one. Yeah,
I like the freeze frame at the end because it's terrible.
It makes like zero sense.
Yeah. What was the motif with the blind guy? What was the deal with that? That he's not in any danger because of the dark. What was going on there? It ends with this blind guy walking and some bad voiceover, and then it just freeze frames on his cane.
I don't.
You don't know? You have no idea? Okay.
You're asking the wrong person. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Steven. I don't know. I feel like
All right.
I don't know. Like what does the dark matter? Like why is this called The Dark?
It does have that. We should comment. The score
yeah.
is sometimes kind of like police procedurally, but then the rest of the time it's like a kind of terrible attempt at a Goblin-esque score, but it's charming, where they're going, the dark, the dark, the dark, the dark.
I mean, it is just Suspiria, except it's just people saying the dark, the dark. But I kind of love it. Like I like the whole opening
it's
to this
pretty
movie.
great.
Like if
it were like the opening and closing the whole time, it'd be a masterpiece.
I want to see the movie the opening describes because we don't get that.
Yeah. No.
And also the poster. Let's take a look at the poster. It is so good. I would have this
Very nice poster
on my wall. Like,
oh, for sure.
I mean, I guess the only thing the poster has consistent with the plot is the fact that there's a laser shooting out of his eye. But other than that, none of this happens.
No.
That doesn't
Which is
even
honestly
look like
the best
bad
kind
guy.
of poster.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a frustrating movie, but I love it. Like it's hard to justify my love of this movie.
Yeah, I love it so much. I'm gonna give it 1.5 stars out of 5. That's my rating.
Well, I'm giving it 2, just because it has that ineffable quality of something that I can just love it. Steve?
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It is terrible, but there's something I can't help but like about it, and
No, I'm with you there.
that's why I'm giving it 2. Like
I would watch it again.
by all accounts, this movie could be a 1, but like technically, it's probably a 1.
It's mostly pretty technically competent.
Well, like
This on an aesthetic level. I mean, everything about the story and all that's awful. I mean, yeah, there's nothing going on there. The editing's bad, but
yeah,
it's
I guess
better
I-
made than a lot of movies now.
True. I mean, yes. I mean, in terms of like shooting, I don't know about the script. The script really is what just sealed this thing as like being like a bore fest for most of the time.
Yeah. All right.
Hang on,
Let's
I got
move
another
on to
loud,
our.
I think some guy's just sitting at an intersection, just revving his engine.
He's watching
There he
you,
goes.
Tanner.
There he goes.
I hired him.
Okay. We're done with that. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. I think that does it. Pretty good movies this week, I would say.
Yeah, pretty good.
We had a good week.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Well, The Dark was terrible. The Dark was terrible.
I mean, yes, but like I didn't actively dislike any of the movies, which is a rare occurrence. I think it may be the first time that's happened.
I dislike Tag.
Oh, you saw Tag.
No, I didn't. Sorry. I'm reading our show notes. That popped up there. I dislike The Dark. Sorry.
Oh.
We're not going to see Tag. It's not happening.
I want to
not
go
gonna
see
happen.
Tag.
Oh, well, it's in
I'm
theaters
going.
now.
Well,
Fine, I'll go.
I told all my friends on the camping trip about it, and I was like, okay, so here's the thing. Jerry Renner has entirely CG arms throughout the whole movie. And they were like, what? And like I think I convinced at least one of the guys that we're going to that movie. It's gonna be so bad. But it's all worth it.
I work so much. I don't even know how I'm gonna get to a theater, honestly.
It's all worth it for
me
those
to Night
CG arms, man.
Crew.
I mean, you can probably get it for like wait 2 years and you'll get it for like $2 in a bargain bin.
Well,
Yeah.
probably true, but that's not the point of seeing it for the podcast, okay?
Oh, we're seeing it for the podcast. Are we
That was
going?
the plan.
Are we going out for movies for the podcast this week? Because I could go see Hereditary.
Yeah, go see Hereditary, because I
And
already saw
Tag.
it, and I wanted you to see it. No, I'm not going to have time to see Tag. It's not going to happen.
I'll
There's
go
a big
see
walk
Tag.
coming up. If you see Tag, I will find a way to see Tag, but I don't want to.
Let's see. What are the show times? Is this even?
I need to find out if it's even playing at my theater. I have a
this
2-screen
even in
theater, and that's the only
theaters?
one within two hours from me. I think it comes out this weekend.
Okay. I'll see if I
Movies.
can.
Let's
Oh,
look.
wait.
Nope, they're playing Incredibles
playing-
2 and Jurassic World. That's the only thing, so I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm not driving 2 hours to see Tag. No way. Not me.
Oh, come on, Steven. So, I think I've got a few places. I gotta go to a place out of the way. Like, my local one is just 7 screens, and it's not showing it. So
All
that's
right,
great.
Tanner, before we cut off here, I have a little story I'd like to share. I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Go for it.
Okay, so, I was working the baby food aisle the other day, and this redneck comes down the aisle. But he's one of those weird rednecks that's not, kind of scary. He's just off, a little dirty. He sounds like his voice is like Hulk Hogan, but the way he carries himself is like early 90s Keanu Reeves, if you can picture that. It's a very odd combination, and he's a balding ginger on top of that.
So we're talking like Johnny Mnemonic Keanu Reeves, or like Bill?
No,
and
we're
Ted
talking
Keanu
Bill
Reeves?
Bill S. Preston Keanu Reeves.
Okay,
Or was he Ted? I don't know. I've never known.
I don't know, man.
just rewatched that in
I
January.
think I
So-
can kind of picture that.
Okay, so he's coming up to me.
Is that the weed doing it to him?
No, he didn't even seem like a stoner. It was very
Okay.
odd.
Okay, go on.
He comes up to me, and he goes, "Hey there, brother." I go, "Hey, man. Can I help you find anything?" And he's like, "How's it going, brother?" And I was like, "Oh, it's been a long day. Haha, been here since 3 a.m." And he's like, "I'm sorry to hear that, brother." I go, how you doing?" He says, "A long road of trials and tribulations are coming winding to an end, brother." I was like,
Well,
"All right, man. Can I help you find anything?" And he says, "Looking for some baby food." I go, "It's right here." And he goes, "Looking for the one that starts with a Z." I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Zucchini? Do you want zucchini baby food?" He says, "That's the one, brother." So he grabs like 8 of these zucchini baby food things, and he doesn't have a cart. He's just holding them.
uh-huh.
And he's like, "All right, you have a good one, brother." And I say, "Okay, you too, man." And he walks off. And then like 5 minutes later, he comes back and he says, "Brother, my father's in heaven now, but he endowed me with the most wonderful sense of humor." And he has like really red eyes, like he's upset. I don't know if his father died in that period. I'm not sure. But he gets really close to me. He says, "I'm gonna gift you with a joke, brother." And so he gets really dramatic with his body language. And he's like kind of whispering, but not really saying, and I'll see if I can remember this poem he told me. "I shot an arrow in the air, though it landed, I don't know where. I heard my neighbor cousin scream from over there. I think it landed over there." And then he said, "And that one's for you, brother." And then he walked off. That's can you unpack that for me?
I don't know.
No, that's all we have.
like-
Just that
that's
there. There's not.
That's the most Lynchian thing that's ever happened to you, I think. The way
Probably
you described
true.
it, at least.
It was, yeah.
That's like, wow. I don't know what to. I don't know how to respond to that. Like,
I don't either.
like,
Yeah,
what, like, should we be concerned about his baby? Should we be concerned about him?
No, he seemed like a nice guy.
Is the
He
baby
was
food
just-
for him?
No, he said he had a little one.
Oh. You think he was just upset that his dad died?
I don't know when. I'm guessing his dad had died like years beforehand, but I don't know for sure. He was very odd. It was hard to read.
You must get like crazy mountain people up in them hills, up in that grocery store.
People are a lot more boring up here than you'd expect, and a lot more racist too. I didn't see that coming.
I expected that.
I mean, I guess it is like a small mountain town, but
I mean,
I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, that's wild, dude. So
I thought all of Colorado was going to be like Boulder. It wasn't.
Oh. Why would you think it'd all be like Boulder, dude?
I don't know. Just thought everyone up here would be really weird and hippie.
Oh. Well, I don't know. You should hike more. Everyone on the trails are hippies, seems like.
I hike quite a bit, and mostly it's just fit people, fit retired people.
Oh. Well, I don't know. When we were camping, we just came a bunch of... We just hung out with a bunch of, like, nature babies, whatever.
Well, that's
I don't know
down
what
in
to call 'em.
Estes Park, though. I live up on the... I'm not driving 2 hours to go on a hike.
Fine then, Steven. I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
We weren't always in Estes Park. We did some entrances at like Allen's Park.
Alan's Parkson project.
Yes, Estes Parkson project. Yes, Allen. So yeah, That was a good way to close out the show. That story.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just
that was
you know,
great
a
delivery.
lot of exciting things happen to me at the grocery store. So
Yeah.
sometimes I fight badgers, sometimes I hear poems from weird guys.
You got way better stories than I do. It's starting to make me feel inferior, Steven.
No, you have good stories. You're just saving them for the memoir. You know it.
Yeah, so I can pull a David Lynch. I'll do my memoir also in a David Lynch voice, and then everyone will
that's a
listen to
great
the
idea.
audiobook. Even though,
By the way, David Lynch's Room to Dream is excellent. I highly recommend it. I'm a little over halfway through. It's great.
oh, had we not mentioned that on this podcast?
No, we were
Ah.
talking about it beforehand. Tanner went on a really great rant about Super Size Me before the podcast. That didn't get picked up. Maybe it'll come back someday.
Yeah, there's not really any
But,
reason to
thank you-
talk about Super Size Me anymore.
No. But yeah, I think we're done. Come join us for our Len Kabaczynski Swamp Zombies 2 special. And also Skulls Trilogy. That'll be something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be worth it. It looks like they're all an hour and
definitely.
40 minutes long for some reason.
Every
like
single
all
one,
three
on the dot.
movies are an hour and 40 minutes long for some reason.
I'm going to see if there's an Amazon Blu-ray triple pack I can buy. I'm going to Google search Skulls Trilogy. Only on DVD.
I mean, 2 and 3 look like they'll only be on DVD. Let's be
That's
realistic.
a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe
You
they'll
know.
be great. They're going to be great.
Maybe.
Thanks
All right.
for listening,
Thank you
everybody.
guys so much for listening. This is the Horror Boys signing out.
Adios.